Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mindful Conversations. We have another beautiful guest here. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Rico, Rico Doodles. Yeah, I do a bit of spoken word poetry, and some sketch work.
So tell me more about your creative practices. So you do a little bit of both. So you do a bit of art and you do a bit of poetry.
Yeah.
So which one did you start first?
In terms of poetry and like me, so I've always been writing. So I'll probably say I started writing before I did anything else. Um, and then that kind of just translated into what I writ down. I'd like to visualize it as well. Hence where the drawing came about. Drawing came about really early as well, and it's just both of them were just used to like take my mind off things, but they both bring me to the same place. So I can't really exclude them or separate them, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And in terms of like your poetry, do you have like similar themes in your artwork or is it completely different?
Very similar actually. So like the whole everything that I create is like based around finding the best way to either express myself or explore emotions or feelings. So I have things where I don't understand or feelings that I feel like are on the surface and not really sure how to express them. I feel like the easiest way for me to do that, or the easiest way I found to do that, was to either put in words or put it down on the paper, and that's kind of where my artwork comes around. So it's more like it will literally be feelings like, I don't know, passion, lust, hate, not love, but yeah, it literally just be feelings. That's
Mm-hmm.
essentially the frame of my artwork.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, nice, nice. And when did you start creating?
Like I said, I've been doing this from when I was quite young. So like when I was really young, this was primary school times. I used to draw up this cartoon, and it was a wild cartoon. It was called Killer Koala, and this is primary school times, so I shouldn't be creating that. But yeah, I used to write up this cartoon, and I used to do it like on a weekly basis, circulate it around my class, and people used to love it. In all fairness, the kids used to love it, or we used to love it as kids because it was all adult themed that I was circulating around the primary school. So once the teachers got a hold of that, they locked that off. But that was like that was me
Oh
starting off,
wow.
and it was just seeing people react to like these ideas that I had in my head.
Yeah,
Yeah, from there I was like, yeah, I love this.
yeah. That's really interesting. That's a nice little anecdote.
I don't know
Um,
if the teachers thought that, but yeah.
um, and in terms of now, like, how has your art or creation evolved?
Um, so that once again around there is like, for example, when I used to do the cartoons, even back then it was all more like, um, it's like just things like that I needed to express. Like for example, like I learned how to read and write really early, so then I got in touch with like loads of themes which I wasn't really sure how to talk about. Hence, probably why they came out as like adult themes cartoons. And that's kind of like still the same thing now. It's still feelings, but it's like as you grow up, what you feel, the way you feel, like develops, right? So you kind of like grow into a different person. Like over time, you start experiencing different feelings, and that's kind of like the shift or how my art's developed. Is like kind of grown with me to still explore either things I don't understand or things I like or what I'd want to put out to the world. So
Mhm.
it's kind of just grown with me to who I was, so to who I am actually, and like whatever that I felt along that journey.
Mhm. And um, you know how you say and how you use art and creation to explore like feelings that you
Hmm.
might not understand. Does it give you that kind of sense of like more understanding within yourself?
It doesn't. So quite often it's like when I say like I don't understand it. Yeah, in a sense it does, but it's quite objective. So it's if I don't really understand the feeling, I might put it out there, or I might observe that feeling like in different themes and try to translate it. And in that
Mhm.
translation, that's when I understand it a bit more. But then I understand how other people might feel. So it's rather than it being like a internal process, it's more external. It's like, okay, cool. If I put this out there and people react to it a certain way, this is probably what they make of this feeling rather than this is what I make of the feeling.
Mhm. So it's kind of giving your emotions another voice.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, nice. And in terms of like your work, is there any like particular themes that kind of stand out? So, for example, like in your poetry, do you write about anything in particular, or do you just kind of flow state?
Ooh. One I'd say that kind of stands out quite often is it's pain and hate.
Mm.
Because quite often what I find quite interesting about those two themes mainly is like they're so close to the opposite. Like they're so close to either being happy or love. And like the reason I generally stay away from like being happy or love is just so far I haven't seen or been able to like capture in a state where I'm like, okay, cool, that feels or that looks or that sounds genuine.
Mm.
Whereas I can, like, for example, if you're in pain or someone's in pain or someone dislikes something, that's obvious. Like, you can kind of be like, okay, cool, you can't hide that bit. But the other side of it is kind of like, well, is that like, can you like capture a state of happiness in like a certain moment where are you are you more satisfied with that moment because at some point your happiness goes, and then is it more like you accepted it for what it was and then you start thinking about, oh, how long am I going to be happy for? Like I feel like the happiness is very temporary, and like at what
Mm.
point are you really happy? Whereas if you're in pain, you're going to know you're in pain. So it's like because of the contradiction or the juxtaposition between both, I kind of like exploring happiness and pain. I mean, sorry, pain and hate, just because the other side of it I kind of struggle with finding any medium to really express it.
Mm. I think a lot of people would resonate to that because, like, a lot of poetry is dark. Like, if you think about it, like Sylvia Plath, for example, very dark poet, feminist poet. Um, some like poetry um, that I know, like Tennyson wrote time ago, like a long time ago, was very dark and was exploring those themes. So it's quite interesting.
But take that right, so because you say like a lot of that poetry is dark, but quite often
Mm.
like what they're exploring is like love. So it's like
Mm.
considering like all their work's really dark and love is supposed to be something that's so beautiful. Like why does it always end up being like, oh, you're in love so you're in pain type thing, rather than I'm in love so
Mm.
it's beautiful. It's always like
It's
I'm in
always
love
the
so it
hard
hurts.
side of it.
Essentially, I feel
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of where I'm with it. It's like I haven't seen it where it's like I'm in love so this is beautiful. It's like it's beautiful for this moment, but I know it's gonna hurt. So
Okay.
that's kind of like, yeah, where I kind of
Yeah.
stay away from it because I haven't found anything like cool that's consistent. Like that's love without
Mhm.
anything else.
Mhm. That's really interesting. I feel like when you write as well, like to be more raw, you have to go with those deeper emotions. Um, so that makes sense in terms of like not resonating to like being content or happy within a relationship or union.
Mm.
Like that makes sense. And I think yeah, I'd love to like, because I don't think I've actually seen any of your poems. I would
Yeah.
love to see like one of them or like have you perform one of them. Not right now, but
No, that's all
like
good.
as in like I'd love to see what
No,
you
hundred
mean in
percent,
terms of like what you're expressing.
100%. I mean, yeah, we can definitely set that up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Um in terms of uh your work, do you ever explore like themes of like mental health or anything to
Um,
do with that?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say mental health as
Mm.
such. It would be more. So it's like it'd be more like states. So like for example with mental health, and you can get like your like stuff like anxiety and panic attacks, and then that leads to like for example states of depression and stuff like that. So I might cover it like as a state, but I won't necessarily cover it as the consciousness in which people find themselves, like the
Mm,
whole like the actual place where they would be. It'd be more like in that moment. So in a state of depression, how could you feel, or how would you feel?
mm,
Because once again, I don't necessarily feel like that it's stationary, but I don't do it in depth now.
mm-hmm. Okay, okay. And um, do you have any like particular like inspirations that you think of creatively that you draw upon, or do you do everything like for yourself, like all original kind of things?
Um, my aspirations are quite random, to be honest. It would be like if I hear something, like if I hear something being said, or like an idea, or like for example, like you mentioned poets earlier on. I can't think of no poets at the top of my head, but it's like even like for example, writers like Franz Kafka. I kind of feel like he's like a funny character because he's seen as like the most miserable person, but his state of misery comes from him being married several times and not being able to be with his mistress. And it's like, are you really that miserable? And quite often it's like a case of he doesn't do anything about it. So it's like your greatest form of misery is because you chose someone to love and then wanted to love somebody else. And it's all you were doing that made you miserable. But then
Mm,
he expresses in such a way where you think the world's about to end, when really it's just that he just needs to find a way where he can validate himself for wanting to have this affair.
mm,
Which is, yeah, I find stuff like that quite interesting because it's kind of, you go through life and you take this course where you're like, okay, I'm going to enter this relationship, and in that relationship choose not to love the person, and then find something else that you're going to love. So you made this choice, but then are stuck with the actual genuine feeling, which has got nothing to do with choice.
mm. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, it's kind of like when you're talking about that as well, like that dynamic in a relationship where you're kind of moving on from that person, but you're still with that person. That's a really tricky thing to navigate. And how does he do that in his art?
So, and that's the thing. So it's almost like he avoids actual love. So he
Mm,
avoids ever being with his mistress. He avoids even seeing her. He just writes her these letters, which is kind of like you could get what you want, but you choose not to have it. It's
mm,
almost just like that keeps that love sacred. So it's almost like, and that's kind of once again where I'm like, okay, well, this whole idea of love is interesting, but I just don't
mm,
see it displayed anywhere properly. But it's like,
mm,
in order to keep his love sacred, he can't have it. So he's in love only because he can't have it. Whereas the person who he is with, he doesn't really love because it's there and he can have it. So that's kind of like how he portrays it.
wow, that's interesting. That's also quite sad.
It's sad, and I guess it makes him miserable, but at the same time,
Yeah,
it makes him happy.
yeah, that's quite sad that you can't, yeah, be with who you want to be with, or, yeah, navigate that appropriately. Like,
But maybe if he was to be with her, he'd feel the same way about her in
because he
relation,
has her.
essentially. So maybe it's like you
Wow,
just can't have what you love, and that's the only way to love
that's
it.
so interesting. I haven't heard about him. I'm gonna look him up now.
Miserable, extremely miserable. Ride's good though.
Yeah. Um. So, in terms of like when you write poetry, do you write or do you like flow? Like, do you speak it?
Um, bit of both, bit of both. So I mainly flow, But if I'm writing, then if it comes together in my head, or if I feel like sometimes it's like putting a puzzle together. If that puzzle comes together on paper, then I'll go with that. But it's mainly flow.
Oh, really? That's interesting because I like usually write. And then, but I flow state when I write. So I write something and it's like really quick.
Mm.
Um,
See, I find it interesting. So when you are writing, do you kind of feel like, okay, you've written something down that you should carry on that path?
yeah, basically. I'll just like, I'll just write something down and then I'll carry on and then I'll like, it will all flow together.
Because I guess for me, it's kind of like when you do, when I do that, when I write something down and I carry on in that path, I kind of sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm writing the rest of this because it sounds good, but it's not necessarily the rawness of what I want to express. And I
Yeah.
kind of get lost into, I get lost in the idea of like I can write good, but it doesn't feel as raw. So
Mm.
that's I'm better in a flow state where it's just like, okay, I am expressing exactly how I feel without thinking about how it sounds, and then more often than not, that comes out better. Sometimes it comes out rubbish. It's okay.
So how do you document it? Do you like film it? Do you record it?
Um, I mean, yeah, I just record it. So I like voice
Mm.
record it. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, nice, nice. Um, what do you feel drives your creativity?
I just, in all fairness, I have to. It's my attempt to understand the world. Also, at the same time, it's like I want to see what happens when I put my ideas out there, how people react to them. So it's me understanding the world, but also me seeing how the world reacts to me.
Hmm. Would you say it's also an attempt to understand yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
And have you exhibitioned any of your work, or have you shown anyone?
Yeah, so I've showed people my, like, for example, the sketches and that. Haven't had a proper exhibition with that. I used to do like go to stand-ups and do like open mic nights and stuff like that. I don't really do that as much anymore. So yeah, but I'm hoping to. So I've been like in and out of it for a while. I'm hoping to get a bit more active this year. So I
Hmm.
thought this would be a good place to start.
Okay, nice, nice. So you used to do stand up?
Yeah, I used to like do spoken words and just go to like open mic nights and do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, I find it really interesting when a spoken word artist can just freestyle. Like, I find that really hard. Like, I think that's so that's pure talent. Like when you can just freestyle
Yeah. Mm.
and like just off the bat.
I wish I could freestyle. I don't freestyle now. I always go there with like
Yeah.
bits that I've created before. Um, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, but you know when you're saying like you usually flow, like you say your poems
Hmm.
before you write them down or like
Hmm.
document them. That is freestyling.
Yeah, but that's I guess I guess like in the moment and like when I'm thinking of it, it's more of a it's almost like me putting an expression into words, and that bit I find that quite easy because quite often it'll be either something I've seen or something I've felt, and it's just me doing that in the moment. Um, I could see what you're saying now. I guess for me, like the talent is kind of lost because I kind of feel like, in all fairness, like there isn't any creativity really coming from me. It's just if my thoughts had words, that's what they would be.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I know, I hear you. And in terms of like, so you talk about themes of like pain and hate. Do you like in terms of those themes, how do you like bring that imagery to life? in your artwork and in your poems?
Um, so it'd be like exploring like different. Once again, it'd be like exploring different states or different um, expressions, and it's quite often what I look at is moments in which those feelings shouldn't be present,
Mm.
and then trying to explore why they are. Um, so, like for example, when people are have an opportunity or get several opportunities, like quite often they end up feeling conflicted. And it's like considering it's a positive, why do you feel conflicted in that moment?
Mm.
And then kind of exploring like, okay, what does that emotion look like in that moment? Because it's like almost like a feeling or expression of despair, but it's not like your traditional. So it's, can I capture it in such a way where it's you can kind of follow the story that's behind it and be like,
Mhm.
okay, I've only just thought about, for example, you get a new job, but you like your old job. Do you leave? You almost just think about that like that's a celebration. When in reality, when some people might sit down at home and that makes them distressed,
Mm.
and it's like nobody sees that part. Everyone sees the bit where it's like, oh, you got something good. You should be happy, and then you don't feel happy because it's like you're faced with this mountain that to everyone else it just seems like a molehill, and they're over the moon for you while you feel sad.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. I think people can get into that state sometimes where they don't enjoy like the small wins in life. And I think people can get into that state, and that, you know, is hard to get out of that once you're in it, kind of
Mm.
thing. Yeah.
Plus, it's just sometimes it's like you end up feeling a certain way, and it's like no one else can understand why you're feeling that. And it's very
Mm.
hard to explain why you're feeling a certain way because everyone else thinks you should be happy.
Mhm.
So it's stuff like that, really.
Mhm. Yeah. And putting that like into words, or putting that down, into a poem or into an art form, can be very like complex and challenging to be able to describe that feeling.
Mm.
Yeah. Um what do you want to evolve or like get out of your creative practice? Like would you what do you envisage yourself doing in like a year or two with it?
Um, in a year or two, like my first step would be to exhibition it. So at least do my first gallery. That's like my aim or
Mm.
my intention at the moment. And then yeah, just have more fun with it. And what I'm really looking to do, so like for example, like the spoken word and the sketch, I've like that's been fun so far. But I'm really just trying to find as many different mediums to bring an idea to life. So that's another bit. It's just connecting with different people that can do different things, and essentially work on like bringing an idea to life in such a way where it's bigger, and then people can like feel it from different like feel in different ways because you feel different when you read to versus for example when you see something or then when you can interact with something. It's like there's different ways of interacting with something, and just it feels different, and it's just
Mhm.
like getting people to feel in as many ways as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear that. Um and in terms of like your work, what would be like a standout piece to you? Like, do you have like a poem or a piece of artwork that you'd say like a lot went into creating that?
Yeah, I do have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I said I didn't want you to perform a poem, I slightly do.
Ooh, ooh. Ah, this extremely personal. So because I've got a son, and like this was just before my son was born. I wrote a poem about that experience and how I
Mm.
felt about that. Yeah, I'll say like the most when because quite often I'm quite removed from what I write, and I felt like that was the one time where I was I was involved in it. Like
Mm,
Yeah.
nice. I want to hear it.
Uh, I don't even know if I have it with me though.
That's okay. Another time.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. What would you say you would like to get out of your creative practice? Like, do you want to meet more creatives? Do you want to do you want to monetize on your creation?
Yeah, like
Or do you really just do it for the passion and the drive and the hobby and
I mean, I just really enjoy it. So if I could
mm,
get to a state where what I do funds me being able to do it, then I'd love that. So that's kind of where I want to get to, is where
mm-hmm,
I can do it without thinking about what else do I need to do to get it done. Like if I could spend all day just creating, then that would be perfect. But I can't do that at the moment. So that's
mm,
kind of where I'm trying to get to. It's just get to a space where I can be as creative as possible and it be my choice.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do you find the atmosphere at like open mics?
I love it, to be honest. I really, yeah, I really love it because I just
Yeah.
you get so many different people as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I've been to one before years ago,
Mm.
and it was like a very empowering and interesting experience, and like very intimate experience as well. Like people are really sharing their vulnerability, um, and it's very moving,
Yeah,
I think.
and it's interesting because it's like, for example, when I create, there's like the way that I create, and it's easy to see the world like from point of view, like from my point of view, like okay, this is how creation happens, and then people come with like all their different methods, all the different techniques, and all the different stories, and it always blows my mind like how much is out there
Mm.
that I can't do or wouldn't cross my mind. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then people wanting to listen as well, like people coming to open mics to listen. Like you could be doing anything else.
Mm. Yeah. No, I hear you. Um. So, um, what do you, what do you, in, I think I've already asked you that question. Sorry, we're gonna have to edit this out. What do you see yourself creating next? Do you see yourself going more the art route, or are you gonna go back to the poetry?
No, so next I've got this idea, and it's like a series of ideas, like a theme, and I'm just going to create around the theme,
Mm.
and it's going to be like a. I'm really just gonna let myself be and just express. So it will just be me trying to create in as many ways as possible without necessarily thinking about the medium. So I'm looking forward to doing some crazy stuff. I can't really tell you what it's gonna be, but I'm just gonna do
Mm.
it.
What's the theme?
So the theme is it's called Memoirs of the Slightly Inebriated,
Mhm.
and it's literally just the idea of like what can you get up to when you are when you are a bit tipsy, when you're a little bit drunk, when you are in a state where you feel a bit more free. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with alcohol. It's more of a people almost limit themselves to like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is the box I need to fit in. And there's little things that make them be like, actually, I can kind of color slightly outside of the box because I feel different. And it's
Mm.
kind of exploring like, what would you do if you didn't necessarily have to stick to your day-to-day rules? And that's kind of like the themes, kind of like looking for like, what would you do if your excuse was like, I was a little bit tipsy. Like, who would you be?
Mm. Yeah. think we're gonna wrap up now.
Sounds good.
But thank you for coming on. Everyone know your socials so they can have a look too.
Cool. So yeah, socials is literally just the name. It's Rico. That's RICO_doodles, and that's just on Instagram at the moment. But yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We're gonna wrap it up here.